Have you ever felt a pull so strong that it defies logic, age, or even your own body's limits? Like something deep inside is calling you to keep going, no matter the cost? That's what I felt every morning in the Serengeti, driving my old, rattling car across the endless grasslands. My name is Macken, and for over 50 years, this vast wilderness has been my home, my purpose, and my heart. But what happened on that scorching day last week? Well, it's a story that still shakes me to my core. It's not just about me or the animals I spent my life protecting. It's about something bigger, something that connects us all. And trust me, the real story, it's not what you'd expect. I was a young man when I first set foot in the Serengeti Game Reserve. Back then, the world felt simpler, wild, untamed, full of promise. I became a ranger, driven by a fire to protect the elephants, lions, giraffes, zebras, and rhinos from the poachers who saw them as trophies. Over the decades, I saw it all. The thrill of saving a trapped animal, the heartbreak of losing one to a hunter's bullet, the quiet joy of watching a herd thrive. The people here started calling me a legend, but I never saw it that way. To me, it was just love for this land and every creature in it. Even after I retired, I couldn't stay away. Every day, I'd climb into my dusty old car and patrol the reserve, checking on the animals, especially the old ones resting in the safe zones. They were my kin in a way, worn by time, but still fighting to live. That morning, though, something felt different. The weather had turned brutal, with forecasts predicting 45 degrees Celsius by noon. The sun was already a blazing orb, scorching the grasslands and sending animals scurrying for shade under the acacia trees. My colleagues, Elijah and Musa, urged me to stay back. "Macken, you're not as young as you used to be," Elijah said, his brow furrowed. I just smiled and waved them off. There was a rhino I needed to check on. A big, stubborn one with a deep gash from a run-in where the poachers trapped the day before. I couldn't rest until I knew it was okay. The drive to the bushy area where the rhino was recovering was slow and grueling. The rough road jostled my car, and hot air poured into the open cabin, sticking my shirt to my skin. Sweat dripped into my eyes, but I kept going, one hand on the wheel, the other wiping my brow. When I finally reached the spot, I parked and stepped out, squinting against the glare. There was the rhino standing alone in the tall grass. Its massive frame looked weaker than yesterday, the long wound on its side still raw and unhealed. I approached slowly, my heart heavy with worry. This creature, so powerful yet so vulnerable, trusted me to help it. I couldn't let it down. That's when it hit me, a sharp, searing pain in my chest. It spread like wildfire, stealing my breath and clouding my vision. I stumbled, then felt my knees, the dry grass scratching my hands. Sweat poured down my face, and the world spun. I tried to call out, but my voice was a faint croak. I don't know how long I lay there, fighting to stay conscious, before I heard footsteps. Elijah and Musa, who'd been tending to zebras nearby, must have heard me. They rushed over, their faces pale with panic. Elijah knelt beside me, checking my pulse. "His heart's all over the place," he muttered to Musa, who was frantically searching my pockets for my heart medication. But it wasn't there. In my haste, I'd forgotten it. The next moments were a blur. Elijah's voice crackled over the radio, calling for an ambulance. I felt hands lifting me, the rumble of a vehicle, and Elijah's voice, urgent and pleading, "Hold on, Macken, just hold on." But the pain was too much, and my strength was slipping. My eyes grew heavy, and the world faded to black. When I came to, or maybe I didn't, maybe this is just how I imagine it, I was in the medical room at the reserve. The doctors were working frantically, their voices tense. I heard the hum of a defibrillator, felt the jolt against my chest, but it was no use. After what felt like an eternity, a doctor's voice cut through the chaos, soft and final. "He's gone." The room fell silent, and I knew my time in the Serengeti had ended. The news of my passing spread like wildfire through the reserve. Staff members gathered, their faces etched with disbelief. To them, I wasn't just a ranger. I was a heart of this place, a symbol of what it meant to fight for something bigger than yourself. They told my family, who wept but weren't surprised. They knew my soul belonged to the Serengeti. According to my wishes, my funeral would be held right here, in the heart of the reserve, surrounded by the animals and land I loved. The next morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, the staff gathered in the sanctuary's central courtyard. They prepared a simple wooden bed, and there I lay, my face calm, as if I were only sleeping. One by one, people came to say goodbye. Elijah stood by my side, his hand trembling as he touched mine, whispering memories of our years together. Musa lit an incense stick, his lips moving in a quiet prayer. The air was heavy with grief, but also with love. Then, something extraordinary happened. A deep, rumbling roar echoed from the sanctuary's gate. Everyone froze, turning to see a massive male lion striding toward us. Its mane was thick, its eyes fierce yet strangely gentle. Panic rippled through the crowd. Lions don't just wander into crowded spaces like this. People backed away, searching for cover, but the lion didn't lunge or snarl. It moved with purpose, weaving through the crowd until it reached the wooden bed where I lay. The lion circled me, then stopped at the foot of the bed, lowering its head as if in reverence. The sight was so surreal, so sacred, that no one dared speak. Elijah, his eyes wide, noticed a jagged scar on the lion's side. He gasped, whispering, "It's him." 15 years ago, he and I had saved this very lion. It had been caught in a poacher's trap, its pride stranded on a dangerous road. We'd risked our lives to free it, bandaging its wounds and nursing it back to health in the safe zone. After it recovered, it returned to the wild, but it never forgot us. Somehow, it had sensed my passing and come to say goodbye. The crowd watched in awe as the lion stood guard by my bed, its presence a testament to the bond we'd shared. Fear gave way to reverence, and people slowly stepped closer, sharing in the moment. The lion didn't flinch, didn't growl. It simply stayed, honoring me in its own way. When the funeral procession began, we moved to a grassy field I'd always loved, shaded by a sprawling acacia tree. The lion followed, its roars echoing like a mournful song. We dug a quiet grave, and I was laid to rest, a stone with my name and 50 years of service marking the spot. The lion lingered, bowing its head one last time before letting out a final, heart-wrenching roar that seemed to shake the very earth. As the sun set, painting the Serengeti sky in shades of red and gold, the lion stayed by my grave. The staff left quietly, but the image of that majestic creature mourning me burned into their minds. The next day, the reserve paused its usual bustle to honor me. People came to place wildflowers by my grave, to pray, to remember, and sometimes they'd see the lion return, sitting silently by the stone as if keeping watch. To it, I was more than a ranger. I was the one who gave a second chance at life. Now, it was repaying that debt with a loyalty that transcended species. This story isn't just about me or the lion. It's about what it means to live for something greater than yourself. The Serengeti is more than a place. It's a reminder of our duty to protect the wild, to fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Did you know that over 1.5 million animals, from elephants to rhinos, call this reserve home? Yet every year, poaching claims thousands of them, nearly 1,000 rhinos alone in Africa. It's a battle that takes heart, grit, and people like you who care enough to keep it going. I wish I could have done more, seen more, saved more. But my time here showed me that even one life, one act of kindness, can ripple across years and touch souls, human and animal alike. The lion's farewell was proof of that. You don't have to be a ranger to make a difference. Share this story. Spread the word. Support the reserves fighting to protect these creatures. Let's keep the Serengeti's heart beating. What's your part in this story? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them below. Share this tale with someone who needs to hear it. And let's keep the fight alive. You won't want to miss what comes next in this wild, beautiful world.